So
In the immortal words of the kids who live on Elm Street, you again? Welcome to the Tournament Center. I'm Brian David Marshall. I'm here with Shaun McLaren, and we are going to be talking about standard red and blue cards, guaranteed to be involved, probably some white cards. Shaun McLaren, why did you bring Jeskai to this tournament?
Well, I basically had to, right? I mean, I only do well with Jeskai. I might as well be playing.
Does that make playtesting by yourself? You talk about being a lone wolf. Is that like easier when you can just eliminate 40% of the colors in Magic?
Yeah, you just start with Jeskai and end with Jeskai. You're done.
Excellent. Does it make drafting more challenging?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so to tell us about the deck, and let's take a look at the cards and just talk about some of the old favorites that were available to you when you start building the deck. Mantis Rider has been a fixture in this deck since it was printed.
Yeah, Mantis Rider is the best, obviously 4 of. The other numbers are not normal though. Like 4 Goblin Rabble Master isn't a sure thing anymore, but I wanted to be aggressive for this tournament, try and get low, which is also why you only see 1 Stormbreath Dragon. A good card right now, but I sort of just want my Miser's Stormbreath Dragon, not having too many high casting cost cards gumming up my hand. And also 2 Soulfire Grandmaster. Usually you see 4 of those, but I cut down to 2 because I'm running a different card in its spot.
Okay, but it's also a misleading number in this deck, right? 2. It's not quite. Sometimes it's 2, but sometimes, much like you in the Tournament Center, they come back.
Right. You really want 1, but the extras don't work so well.
Okay, so let's take a look at some of the new cards you got to play with here. And I'm going to assume this is the 2-drop, or wait, is this the 2-drop that you're talking about?
Jace is the really good 2-drop that you want 4 of. Jace is just incredible. Hangerback is the 2-drop that replaced the other 2 Soulfire Grandmasters.
Okay.
I really wanted a card that was good against mono red and control in that slot, and Soulfire's okay against mono red and control, but usually it's just dying against mono red, and usually it's just dying against control. So I wanted Hangerbacks as an option against those decks to play out, and even if they do kill it, then I get a token, and it's capable of running away with the game in slower games.
What does Jace bring to the Jeskai party?
Jace is just able to loot away your dead cards in dead matchups. With Ujatai's command, we'll get to Ujatai's command later, but Jace is just incredible. He just does so much for the deck. Being able to consistently smooth out your bad draws, find your good 3-drops, make sure you have lands to cast your good 3-drops. Jace is just incredible.
All right, so let's take a look at some of the spells that you can bring back with Jace once you transform it into the Planeswalker side. Magma Spray, Lightning Strike, Roast, Stoke the Flames. How did you arrive at these numbers here?
Well, Magma Spray is the interesting one, which is there mostly for Hangerback Walker, which has been seen a lot more play. It's also really good in the mirror. Exiling a Jace or a Soulfire Grandmaster to make Ujatai's command worse is really huge. And usually you might be saying, what about when you want to burn the face? Well, usually Wild Slash isn't getting the job done against like control decks. You're usually getting them down to about 10 against the control decks if you're not winning with like a Mantis Rider bashing a bunch.
So if the creature would die this turn, exile it instead, that's the big nod to Hangerback Walker.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Roast is another great card, good against mono red and devotion decks, whereas Valor Stance isn't so great against mono red. So I split 2 Roast, 2 Valor Stance, and Stoke the Flames, great with Goblin Rabble Master, great against Stormbreath Dragon, but also a little pricey. So
okay, so that's why only 1. So let's take a look at some of the other cards. You mentioned Valor Stance. I never know to put that in removal or control elements. You know, it's kind of a flexible card. It can save your creatures, kill their creatures. But the card I really want to talk about is Ujatai's Command.
Yeah, Ujatai's Command at 3 of, just excellent. Like I said, I wanted a card. I had Hangerback Walker because I wanted a card good against mono red and control. Ujatai's Command also fits that bill. Being able to return a Jace and draw a card against control at instant speed, and and Jace is like a must-kill for control decks, so it gives you a lot of play in that regard.
So return target creature card from converted mana cost with mana cost 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Also works really well with Soulfire Grandmaster, right? You can get into a late game state where you resolve command, get Soulfire Grandmaster back, and then can just kind of burn with buyback your opponent out.
Absolutely.
Does that happen a lot? Tell me that happens.
It happens. I mean, I only have 2 Soulfire, so it happens a bit less. But I'm happy returning Jace.
Okay.
I'm not complaining when I'm returning Jace.
Fine. You like your Planeswalkers. Yeah. Jeskai Charm 4 of.
That's actually a 1 of. The graphic is wrong.
Oh, sorry. That's
a 1 of. A good 1 of. Good against like Ensoul Artifact or just. It gives a lot of play. Great with a bunch of Goblin Rabble Master tokens, giving them lifelink and whatnot.
Okay. Let's take a look at how you make this all work. Mana base wise, Flooded Strands and Temples of Epiphany, Temples of Triumph, Mystic Monastery. Of course, I guess that's the land you really want to see in your opening hand.
Yeah, I love Scrylands. I'm sad they're rotating. I'm going to be very sad. I unfortunately couldn't run the full 8 Scrylands.
Okay, why not?
It was actually mostly the scry rule that was the deciding factor. Otherwise, I probably would have just ran the full 8.
Too much scry?
Yeah, too much scry.
Okay, let's take a look at the rest of the mana. A couple of Battlefield Forges, and then 6 basic lands.
Yeah.
What?
That's actually 1 mountain.
Oh, okay.
But yeah.
It's a 62 card deck, folks. Don't let them lie to you.
It's all good. It's all islands, mountains, plains. It's all good. Yeah, 2 islands, 2 plains is for your fetching for your Flooded Strands, basically a must. And then the Battlefield Forges. I shaved down on the pain lands because I prefer scrying over taking damage.
Let's take a look at the 19 cards on the sideboard now. Okay, talk us through what you're doing here.
None of these cards are in my sideboard.
What?
No, these are others. So 1 Elspeth is good to have in the deck, just as a trump card.
Arshan Cleric's there for Martin Dang.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of mono-red players here. Mono-red has won the last 2 Pro Tours, so Arshan Cleric is great with Ojutai's command.
When you're building your sideboard, do you think about that? Do you look at the field and you go, oh, Martin Dang, Yoel Larson, these guys like to play the red decks. I really want to have an answer for them?
Yeah, you got to think about that. Also, the scry rule also makes aggressive decks a bit better, I think, so got to keep that in mind. Also, Soulfire Grandmaster. Kind of a card that can come in a lot of matchups. Just nice to have an extra one for basically any matchup that needs a filler card.
Anger of the Gods.
Also a good card. Tokens can be a problem, or decks.
Oh, we talked about Hangerback Walker a lot,
yeah.
right? So, all right, let's keep moving along here, and just a bunch of tools in the toolbox to get the job done. Anything in particular stand out here? Tragic Arrogance? How's that card been?
Tragic Arrogance, mostly for Devotion and Enchantment decks, which it's really good against. But those didn't show up too much. But it's nice insurance to have. Also, a great card to flash back with Jace as well.
Ew.
Yeah, that's really nice. And then also the 1 Dissolve is great. I love Dissolve. It scries as well.
For when you need that 1 extra scry that you didn't have at the beginning of the game. Okay. Yeah. All right, Shaun McLaren, Jeskai, that's what he's playing in Standard. You got to win out to have a shot here at the top 4. This is the deck you brought. Do you think it is up to the task of getting you into the top 4 at the World Championship?
The deck is definitely up to the task. We'll see.
There you go. For Shaun McLaren, this is Brian David Marshall signing off from the Tournament Center.